Welcome to a new episode from English Plus Podcast. Today's podcast is very special because we are going to talk about a very special topic. Today is about science, but don't be afraid, it's not hard science we're talking about. We're talking about global warming, something that affects us all and something that we all should know about. So without further ado, let's start our episode about global warming. Do you like warm weather? Do you wish it could be warmer still? Be careful what you wish for. The Earth may be moving in that direction. The trend is called global warming. Not all scientists agree that global warming is happening. Some say it is impossible to know if the climate is changing overall. After all, temperatures vary from day to day and year to year. Most scientists, however, say the trend is up. The warmest days are warmer, the coldest days not as cold. They point out that the 10 warmest years of the last century happened after 1980. The 3 hottest came after 1990. The hottest year on record was 1998. These scientists say the Earth has warmed up about 1 degree Fahrenheit, about 0.6 degrees Celsius, in the last 100 years. The rate of change, they say, is speeding up. 100 years from now, the Earth may well be as much as 10 degrees hotter. Sunlight brings energy to the Earth. This light turns to heat. When it hits the ground, the heat in turn seeps away from the sun. But the atmosphere slows the heat's escape. The atmosphere is a layer of air around the planet. It holds in some of the warmth. The atmosphere is a mixture of many gases. In the last 250 years, this mixture has been changing. The amounts of gases such as methane and carbon dioxide have been rising. These gases trap heat more effectively than other gases. They make the Earth's atmosphere act like the glass in a greenhouse. It lets sunlight in, but it doesn't let heat out. As a result, heat is building up close to the surface. People are changing the atmosphere. The changes started hundreds of years ago when people began cutting down forests and burning the wood. The invention of cars and other machines greatly increased the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere. Such machines burn fuels like wood, coal, oil, and natural gas. When these fuels burn, they add carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Methane comes from producing coal. Today, the air contains almost 1/3 more carbon dioxide than it did in 1750. The amount of methane has doubled. Global warming could melt the ice at the poles. This would raise the level of the oceans. Water would then cover all the flat coastal lands. People would have less land on which to live and grow food. Plants and animals are adapted to their climates. If the climate changes rapidly, many may not be able to adapt. Some species will simply die out. Others may spread to cooler climates. There, however, they will be struggling with species already in place. Burning less wood, coal, oil, and natural gas will help stop global warming. Scientists recommend that people get more energy from sunlight, wind, tides, nuclear energy, and other sources that don't burn fuel. Energy sources like these put little or no greenhouse gases into the air. Scientists say trees can help prevent global warming. All growing plants take carbon dioxide out of the air. Trees do this especially well. They turn the carbon part of carbon dioxide into wood. They release the oxygen. In recent years, people have been cutting down forests all over the world. Scientists say vast new forests must be planted. Now, if you are thinking about what we can do about that, well, obviously we have things to do. There are 12 feasible steps to be taken to help slow down global warming. The first thing you can do is to speak up. It's the easiest and least expensive solution to the problem. You can do that by raising awareness within your circles, and with the existence of social media nowadays, that shouldn't be too difficult to do. Power your home with renewable energy. You can choose a utility company that generates at least half its power from wind or solar, which is called green energy. Weatherize. You can make your space more energy efficient by sealing drafts and ensuring it's adequately insulated. Invest in energy efficient appliances. When shopping for refrigerators, washing machines, and other appliances, look for the Energy Star label. It will tell you which are the most efficient. Reduce water waste. Saving water reduces carbon pollution too. That's because it takes a lot of energy to pump, heat, and treat your water. So take shorter showers, turn off the tap while brushing your teeth, and switch to WaterSense labeled fixtures and appliances. Actually eat the food you buy and make less of it meat. Approximately 10% of US energy use goes into growing, processing, packaging, and shipping food, about 40% of which just winds up in the landfill. And since livestock products are among the most resource intensive to produce, eating meat-free meals can make a big difference too. Buy better bulbs. LED light bulbs use up to 80% less energy than conventional incandescent bulbs. They're also cheaper in the long run. Pull the plug or the plugs. Don't leave fully charged devices plugged into your home's outlets. Unplug rarely used devices or plug them into power strips and timers, and adjust your computers and monitors to automatically power down to the lowest power mode when not in use. Drive a fuel-efficient vehicle. Gas-smart cars such as hybrids and fully electric vehicles save fuel and money. Maintain your ride. A simple tune-up can boost miles per gallon anywhere from 4% to 40%, and a new air filter can get you a 10% boost. Rethink planes, trains, and automobiles. If it is all possible, choosing to live in a walkable, smart growth cities and towns with quality public transportation leads to less driving, less money spent on fuel, and less pollution in the air. And finally, shrink your carbon profile. You can offset the carbon you produce by purchasing carbon offsets, which represent clean power that you can add to your nation's energy grid in place of power from fossil fuels. Now, that being said, that will be everything about global warming. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope you appreciated the importance of this topic. Although a lot of people may still not believe that it is happening, it's up to you to believe whatever you want to believe, but some of the things we mentioned in this episode are doable and are good, whether you believe in global warming or not. And now we will move on to talk about some keywords in this listening about global warming. But before we do that, let me remind you that if you want to improve your English, if you want to take it to the next level, you need to practice the things you're learning. And to do that, there is a solution we have created for you, and that is a custom post for every single episode we create. There is a link in the description. If you take it, you will go to our website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com, to the special post that is linked to this episode, and there you will find everything you need to practice the information we're learning here. You will find an interactive video, you will find interactive activities, you will find a PDF practice worksheet you can download and do a lot of exercises to practice your listening and the vocabulary we're going to talk about in a bit. And of course, the answer key is there to check your answers. All of that is available to you with the show notes inside one post. Take the link and improve your English. Don't just settle for what you're listening to. Of course, if you're just enjoying the listening, we're very happy you're here, and we're more than honored that you picked our podcast to listen to. That makes us very happy. But if you want to take your English to the next level, if you want to improve your English, take the link and take your English with it to the next level. Now, one more thing before we continue. If you like the content we're creating and you would like to support us to create more of that content you love, you can become our patron on Patreon. There's also a link to Patreon that will take you to our page. You can become our patron, support English Plus Podcast, and help us reach more and more people with the content we're creating and making free for all. So with that being said, let me move back and talk about the keywords we can find in this listening about global warming. Now, the first word is climate. We said Some say it is impossible to know if the climate is changing overall. But the idea is, what is the climate? Well, the climate of a place is the general weather conditions that are typical of it. So that is, we call it the climate. It's a little bit different from the weather. The weather, it's more for a day-to-day thing, but the climate is the general weather conditions of that place. And the next word is seep. We said the heat in turn seeps away from the earth. What is the meaning of seep? Now, if something such as liquid or gas seeps somewhere, it flows slowly and in small amounts into a place where it should not go. It's kind of like leaking, but it's not leaking. But you get the picture. So that is the meaning of seep. And then we talked about flat coastal land. Now, flat, what is the meaning of flat? Flat is something that is level, smooth, or even, rather than sloping, curved, or uneven. And coastal, when we talk about coastal lands, coastal is used to refer to things that are in the sea or on the land near a coast. And then we talked about adapt. We said plants and animals are adapted to their climates. What does that mean? If you adapt to a new situation or adapt yourself to it, you change your ideas or behavior in order to deal with it successfully. So that is the meaning of adapt. But then we continued on and we talked about the changes in climate. If they happen rapidly, animals and maybe even people will not be able to adapt, will not have enough time to adapt, because adaptation is not an overnight process. It takes time. So some of them might spread to cooler climates, and there they will be struggling with species already in place. So when we say struggling here, what does that mean? If two people struggle with each other, they fight. And here, of course, we're talking about animals, but it is true for animals or for people. And next, we talked about the word prevent. We said scientists say trees can help prevent global warming. Now, to prevent something means to ensure that it does not happen. So trees can ensure that global warming does not happen. And unfortunately, we're cutting them down more and more. So that is prevent. And then we talked about vast. We said scientists say vast new forests must be planted. And when we talk about vast, something that is vast is extremely large. That is vast. It's bigger than large. It's vast. And then we talked about feasible. Now, we said there are 12 feasible steps to be taken to help slow down global warming. What do we mean by feasible? If something is feasible, it can be done, made, or achieved. It's possible. So that is feasible. And then we moved on and talked about awareness. We said you can do that by raising awareness. What does it mean to be aware? If you are aware of something, you know about it. So when you raise awareness, you let people know about this thing. Because trust me, not everybody knows about global warming the way you've learned about it today or the way you already know about global warming. So it is a good idea to raise awareness. And then we talked about efficient. And that is when we talked about choosing appliances that are efficient, energy efficient appliances. What is the meaning of efficient? If something or someone is efficient, they are able to do tasks successfully without wasting time or energy. And that is exactly the thing you need. It's a win-win deal for you and for the environment. And then we continued on and talked about livestock. And here we were talking about food and eating. And we said, and since livestock products are among the most resource intensive to produce, eating meat-free meals can make a big difference too. But what do we mean by livestock? What is livestock? Animals such as cattle and sheep, which are kept on a farm, are referred to as livestock. And then finally, we talked about hybrids. And here we mean hybrid cars, for example. We said gas-smart cars such as hybrids and fully electric cars. Now, what do we mean by hybrid? A hybrid or a hybrid car is a car that has both an electric motor and an ordinary car engine. It uses the ordinary engine when it needs extra power. And that is very efficient, fuel-efficient vehicle. So, with that being said, I hope we helped you learn a thing or two about global warming, and I hope you learned a couple of interesting and useful words as well. I cannot stress enough the importance of practice, and that is very easy. Just take the link, go to our website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com, and you will find everything you need. Interactive videos, interactive activities, PDF practice worksheet, everything your heart desires. Now, with that being said, thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. This is your host, Danny. I will see you next time.